Mayuresh Joshi joins us on the show. Hi Mayuresh, good afternoon. Well, the last 30 minutes or so, the bulls will feel good. It appeared that in fact we're down and out, but looks like we're going to end closer to around 18,200 in comparison to the 18,100. And the more heartening aspect for me is that the mid-cap index now is on the verge of moving into the green. Any view on a couple of these names? Exide, well, that was a big underperformer. Valuations were a little bit supportive. What's the view on the stock? Now it's more than 200 rupees. I think from the recent low, it's had a good run. GMDC is the other one as well that's buzzing in trade, if you have a view on any of these.
Afternoon, Nigel. Oh, yes, I think Indian markets have been very, very constructive and the broader markets are showing strong resilience and tremendous amount of strength. For Exide in particular, I think the numbers that probably came through, the expectations were muted, but they probably delivered better than what the street was probably expecting. A large element in terms of recovery, in terms of both the OEM part of the market for Exide, as well as the replacement market, where the pricing probably holds up for both these battery makers, Amara Raja as well as Exide, that probably holds up the revenue part of their business. When it comes to the margin delivery, what you've probably seen in terms of lead prices, a large part of the high-cost inventory is largely behind them at this juncture. And therefore, the expectations of lead prices being stable at this point of time will ensure that margins also remain stable going forward. The industrial part of the business, apart from the telecom part of the business, is also holding up pretty well, which means that the earnings outlook both from a value and value perspective should hold up. It's moving above key averages and key pivot levels at O'Neill, so I think the momentum might very well continue. For GMDC, I think the announcements that were made in terms of capital allocation, in terms of dividend payouts, I think that has rubbed off very, very positively for most of these Gujarat-based companies. We did mention on the day of the announcement itself, GMDC, GSFC probably look better placed candidates at this point of time in lieu of the announcements. And if you probably look at the balance sheet strength individually for GMDC as well, apart from the existing lignite reserves that it probably has, the kind of surveys that they have probably done in terms of rare earth minerals, I think any potential from there over the next few years incrementally adds on to cash flows and more dividend payouts as well. So yeah, I think the momentum probably continues.
Okay. By the way, today we do have some interesting movers and shakers. Karur Vysya Bank, for instance, from the morning it's been quite smart, about 7 to 8% higher. Equitas Small Finance Bank is seeing some good traction, 6% higher on Equitas as well. Some of these names from Tier 2 financials, they are having a pretty decent session for themselves. LIC Housing, of course, is still struggling. That's been the clear disappointment if you're talking about NBFC results in the last couple of days. Mayuresh, hi, good afternoon. Good to have you on the show as usual. Any thoughts on some of these names I mentioned? LIC Housing, of course, really disappointing with the disbursements. And the other ones like Karur Vysya and even Equitas doing quite well today. Do you cover or look at any of these stocks?
Afternoon, Surabhi. Oh, yes, I do. And the large element in terms of NBFCs, I think if you look at one clutch of NBFCs, they've done exceptionally well. Numbers from Chola had been exceptionally well. We have one that likely stock. They probably delivered on their management commentary as well. And the expectations in terms of strong capital advocacy, along with robust loan growth and a very stable ALM, will probably mean that the earnings probably continue. For Karur, the numbers have been good, have been decent. But I think as a spectrum, what we are liking within the NBFC space are those top tier NBFCs. So Chola is one, as I just mentioned. LIT Housing Finance, I think, is something that you should probably be looking or keeping on your radar as well. Very strong set of numbers in terms of retailization, 75% as we speak. They've actually written down almost 11,500 crores of wholesale loans in the quarter gone by itself. The targeting in terms of GNPAs being less than 3%, net NPAs being less than 1%, the OPEX to overall revenues being less than 4%, and credit costs expected to come below 3%, will probably mean that ROAs that they are targeting of 2.83% can be achieved over the next couple of years. Capital advocacy remains extremely strong. So I think all these capital advocacy, where capital advocacy is strong, supports balance sheet expansion, and with the delinquencies going down, the return ratios will show significant improvement. So broader markets, the financial services space, I think within NBFCs, I think Chola, L&T Housing, L&T Financial Holding is something that
look at something like a Shakti Pumps. I think came out with numbers last week, but the stock has moved significantly. I mean, 3 days back, stocks were about closer to 400. It's about 550 now. Shakti Pumps. The other one I want to just highlight is Max Ventures, which is going to be renamed as Max Estates. It's a real estate company now. That's now come back to an all-time high. I mean, the previous high was in October of last year, 2022. Volumes are decent, and it set new highs. So just kind of pointing out 206 or so on Max Ventures on that one. But, like the last so many days, the numerically market breadth is negative, like yesterday. I mean, some 300 stocks separate losers and gainers, and it's in favor of losers. But the momentum is, of course, you've got to look at volumes and price action, price change. And there the advantage is with, of course, what's going up, not what is going down at this point. Mayuresh, in terms of new ideas from your team, something which you've maybe initiated on, put on new trades on, anything you'd like to share?
Oh, absolutely. Afternoon, Prashant. So out of the mid-cap universe, we've been speaking a lot about capital goods and ancillary plays related to this space itself. One mid-cap stroke small-cap idea that we like at O'Neill is Shanthi Gears. The company has posted a brilliant set of numbers, not just for Q4, but for the financial year gone by. I think that the top-line growth has been exceptional. They've done very well in terms of margin performance as well. But the management is very, very hopeful in terms of more orders coming their way. And then both ends of the market probably holding up for them. Having said that, if you look at the reported EPS on an annualized basis as well, from 5.5 almost to 8.75 rupees, expecting a huge compounding of almost 20-25%, which you track at O'Neill in terms of EPS growth both historically and what is expected to happen. And our own sense is that here is very well positioned to probably deliver. So all the ingredients probably in place, decent order books, revenue visibility, expectations in terms of stability and expansion of margins, and a very strong bottom line growth because of the operating leverage, leading to significantly better ROEs and ROICs as well. So I think one idea to pick and choose from the broader market, which you've just initiated, Shanthi Gears is something.
But let's focus on the Ujjivan twins. That's Ujjivan Small Finance Bank and Ujjivan Financial Services. Now, in the last 1 month or so, just observing that Ujjivan, Ujjivan Financial Services, that's up close to 30% odd, and that's outpacing actually Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. What's gone on is that merger ratio is already announced, and it's in favor of Ujjivan. So it's close to around a 12 to 13% gap still. Should you be playing that instead of this? Because the merger should get completed in the next 3 to 4 months. Mayuresh, what are you making of this name? Ujjivan, it seems the merger ratio is in their favor, and that could be an indirect way of playing Ujjivan Small Finance Bank.
Absolutely. I think that seems to be a more plausible way of looking at it, Nigel. And that is why I think the stocks are in strong momentum at this point of time. And I think generally, most banks have delivered a very strong set of numbers. Ujjivan, I was hearing credit in the morning as well. I was hearing the AU management as well. But there have been a decent set of numbers that most of these banks within these spaces have delivered. Again, a large expectations in terms of the rate hikes largely behind us at this juncture would probably mean that far more stability in terms of NIM visibility and the kind of exposure that they've probably got in terms of bank borrowings, NCDs. I think those rates start stabilizing, which means that the cost of borrowing does not significantly go up. At the same time, I think disbursements have been held steady and the collection efficiencies are going up. But purely going in terms of the swap stacks, yes, I think Ujjivan probably seems to be plausible in terms of a more favorable ratio.
All right. Mayuresh, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure as always, and speak with you soon again.